I've created a list of things in which the woman can exit and it is warranted, which is to say that these are legitimate reasons to dip on you. And mind you, I'm one who believes deeply in family and deeply in the unity of the man and the woman. And I don't like to see relationships break. But if you start displaying these traits, oh, it's time for her to get ghostly. You dig? Here we go. Number one. Number one is violence. Number one is violence. And being that I'm a detail-oriented man, I'm going to give you some details, right? Because it just wouldn't be right to say violence and you think like, Quinn, any kind of violence? Well, let's get specific. One, I don't know what kind of a monster can beat up on a woman. I just truly don't understand it. You dig? In as much as they're beautiful, they're small, they're sweet. Violence. And what I mean specifically is we're talking about the guy has punched you, he's kicked you, he's bit you, he's drawn blood, those things. Now, when you've been in a relationship with someone and emotions are running high, maybe there's a stress of various aspects of life, financial issues, pressures at work, familial concerns, health concerns, and all of these things might weigh down on you all at once. And you might end up in a heated argument. If there's some shoving or what have you, it's not a good thing, that's for sure. But we can't pretend as though we're not human. So, I've seen situations where they're pressing their foreheads against each other. This is not recommended. This is you're edging on out of control. But I don't want to make you flighty. I don't want to make a woman fickle. And so the things I can tell you for certain, if you get punched, get up out of there. You get kicked, get up out of there. If he draws blood, if he bites you, we're not talking about foreplay or intercourse, but if he just randomly bites you out of anger, get up out of there, okay? Now, ladies, I know some of you might be swift because you follow this ism. You might engage in the combat sports. You heard me? If he throws a punch at you, but he don't land it because you slipped it real swift, still get out of there. He doesn't got to land the punch. If he threw the punch, get out of there. Violence, it's all bad, okay? You've lost control, gentlemen. It's time for her to end it. It's time for you to end it. You shouldn't even want to be in the relationship. Notice, I didn't say call the police, okay? I said in the relationship, go ahead, get out of there, all right? Now, so that's number one. If violence occurs, it's done. It's done. It can't be revived. So violence is number one. We've checked that off the list. Number two, and this is not in order. That one is certainly in order, but the whole list is not in order. If you feel you can do better, with the caveat that you should be realistic. Don't listen to your friends. Don't listen to your homegirls because they're your friends. They like you. They might identify with you. They might be similar to you and have an inflated sense of self. But if realistically you feel you can do better, go ahead and do better, because there's a resentment that comes with you looking at that man and thinking, you ain't it. I mean, you ain't it for me. I could really go out there and get something. I'm still in my years. I could go out there and get something. Well, love, if you have that feeling, go ahead and get rid of dude. But if you're currently single, ladies, let me advise you, don't waste time. Date with marriage in mind. And don't play games. And don't be flighty or fickle, which is to say that if you get into a relationship, you should get into it with the intention of pursuing marriage. And you should get into it with the putting your traits of loyalty and commitment in the forefront. Often you have women who are indecisive and don't know what they want, and what they really want above all is attention. And when you're doing all of those things, you're going to end up alone, okay? You're going to end up alone because you're going to be playing with guys who are serious men, and then eventually they're going to wash their hands of you. And then you keep playing around with goofballs, and because these guys are goofballs and not worth it, your relationship won't go the whole mile. So then you'll look around and you're single, and all the guys that are worthwhile have kids, they're married, or they're well off and pursuing younger women, and you're in that ugly gray area where you're not quite young enough to get the guy of your choice, and you're too old for guys to really be peeping for you, and want to really deal with you on a long term. You don't want to be in that situation, okay? I'm just trying to help you out here. So that's number two. You feel like you can do better, and you actually can. You verified this. You looked at some objective measures, and for the members, I will be publishing an objective tool that you can use to measure up the female and male side and see if you guys are really equally yoked, if you guys are a good match, or to see if maybe one of you needs to grow in a particular area. Because often, and it's, when you look at women and men, it's often the women that are overrating themselves. Yes, indeed, they are overrating themselves. We have Nicaragua Saint writes, how do you remain disciplined and not focus on sex? Discipline is a lifestyle, something that you live every single day. And I can assure you that women appreciate and respect your discipline, especially if herself is not a sex freak or a sex addict. Personally, I don't like women who are overly sex driven. In fact, I find it to be a very dangerous thing. And if a woman asks you the following question, you should be scared and suspicious. If she says to you, would you consider yourself a sexual person? Well, that's her telling you that she is a sexual person, okay? And that's not the one you want, all right? A woman's sexual, that monster in her, usually it involves depth, right? She gets with a guy that she likes and she wants to explore the depth of her sexual interests. Guys, they often have a shallow sexual drive, but there's breadth. They want to try the thick girl, try the skinny girl, try the bow-legged one, try the pigeon-toe one, try the red head, try the blonde head, try them all, and then try them again. The male sex drive has breadth to it. They seek variety, and there's this hunger that the male has, especially depending on certain traits within the male and certain chemical situations within the male. The woman, it usually is depth. If you have a woman who's seeking breadth, oh, that's a problem. Oh, it's a problem. And this often happens when she suffered trauma or she has too much experience. She's experienced too much of the pow. She's experienced the long ones, the short ones, the thick ones, the wide ones, the skinny ones. And she's been pounded out so many different ways. And the unfortunate thing is, by the time she gets to you, well, she just can't help but remember the way old boy was just beasting her. You hear me? Had her legs up like this, stroking her out baby boy style with a rhythm to it, with a rhythm. So that's the problem. If you can't max her out like a football player, you ain't gonna never get to the touchdown with her. You dig? I didn't come. Well, probably because you were dealing with old boy over there who looks like the result of years and years of breeding between the best and strongest slaves in America. Like, you've been dealing with him, and I ain't punching it like that. So I say all that to say this. When you say, how do you stay disciplined? This had nothing to do with your question. How do you stay disciplined and not be focused on sex? Well, discipline is who you are. Discipline is every day. Discipline are your routines. And just earlier today, a young lady was speaking with me, and I asked her this very question, and she said, well, she gave me a number of points, which I'm going to share with you. But one of them is that, quote, you need to break up with a man when, quote, he makes you his world. He makes you, the woman, his world. That's when you need to break up with him. Now, that might be counterintuitive for a lot of you because you think that the woman wants you to be swooning over her. Nah. And this is a beautiful woman that told me this. A real female, nah, she wants you to stay focused, player. Yeah, she realizes that your focus is what provides for her good life. But here's the kicker. Your focus also provides for your good life. And if you are too focused on sex or too focused on the woman in whatever way, it turns out that, when she steps out of your life, a large portion of your life is going to crumble because it was based on her. So only a fool would be led by the penis. You did. Thank you for that question. So what I'm saying is, the discipline is what you choose to do. And when you choose to do something on a regular basis, your mind becomes trained and accustomed to it. You might have urges that you yearn for, but if you exercise every day, your mind will also begin to yearn for that. And also, don't forget friends and family. We sometimes have these empty parts of our life. That's why the Sasson is so critical. There's a space in life for friendship. He writes, yes, but should we control that hunger? Control it. I mean, the best thing you can do is transmute it, right? Which is to say, to apply that to your workouts, apply that to other pursuits. And, your old lady does need to get maxed out. You hear me? And I'm, currently working on an appropriate minimum. And I think a minimum is every 10 days. At minimum, you should max out your old lady, try to do a good job. And so that would be a minimum of 3 times per month. That's a minimum. If you want to go hard on that, feel free. But I have to establish that minimum because sometimes you might be in a relationship with a woman for a significant amount of time. And the hunger for her physically may dwindle. And you might say, oh no, my old lady, fine. Yeah, well, over time, you become desensitized to all things, and you may love her, but you might not necessarily hunger for her physically at the same level. So that's a minimum for all of us, just in terms of keeping good practices within our families. Number 3, you're interested in another man. Ain't that a pity? That's a real pity. Yeah, shorty. If you're interested in another man, you might as well go ahead and get ghost. Get yourself out the way, dump him and dip. All right. And you ain't got to have a long conversation when it's over. When it's over, it's over. All right. You go that way, I'll go this way. But if you're interested in another guy, oh, it's a wrap, baby. It's a wrap. And hopefully that's not your nature. But if you're interested in another guy, this is done. All right. It's done. Okay. There's no way around that. Number 4. I previewed this one earlier, but number 4, he makes you his world. And that's an indication of a male who is lovesick, a male who is smitten, a male who is easily taken off of track. And when a man makes a woman his world, that means he's going to begin to neglect his disciplines. He's going to neglect the other things that color his life and give his life meaning. And that is no good. And I can assure you, when you start going Pepe Le Pew on the chick, it's going to be a major turnoff to her. There is nothing that more fills the woman up with desire and passion than indifference. You see, she's interested in you, and she's wondering if you're interested in her. That mystery is intriguing. Your indifference drives passion in her, makes her want to perform and get your attention. But you being under her, all up under her, turn off. You seem needy, my boy. You seem needy and emotional. It's not cute, okay? So don't make her your world. Have a greater focus. Remember, as I said on my earlier stream, getting biblical here, the Lord created Adam. And then he created Eve to be the assistant, the support, the helper of Adam. Well, she can't help you if there's nothing to help with. She can't help you be obsessed with her. But if you have a greater goal, she can help you with that. And it is in our work that we build our relationships. You did. Point number, I think we're at 5. Ladies, dump that boy when he becomes your inferior. If you look up and, you're looking at the tally and it looks like you're beating him at too many things, get him out of here. He's overweight, you're in shape. He's broke, you're well off. There's too many of these kind of situations where there's an imbalance and you're winning. Get him out of there. You're his superior. You have better emotional balance and emotional control, and there's a death in the family and you're handling it better than he is, and these things are stacking up. Yeah, you might as well get him up out of there. And what I'm doing is I'm giving you a way to do this early before things get ugly, before things become resentful on both sides. Another thing is you are having recurring disagreements for the same reason with escalating tension. Listen, you're having recurring, meaning keeps on coming back, disagreements, disharmony for the same reason, meaning somebody hasn't changed. He hasn't changed. I haven't changed. We keep bumping heads for the same thing, which means it's going to keep occurring in the future. And tension is escalating because it's a sore that keeps getting reopened. It's a sore that keeps getting reopened. So it's only going to get worse, especially if we can't change or we don't want to change. And this is a big thing. There's some problems that are going to reoccur, but it's all right. Like, for example, if, your husband keeps on leaving the toilet seat up, which I would think he should be able to improve that. But if he keeps doing it, then at some point you just got to realize that before you sit down, take a look-see and go ahead and flap that thing down. And he might do that the whole time you're married. It is what it is. If you can deal with it, fantastic. But if you find that thing that is big enough that you can't deal with it, you won't deal with it, you ain't going to change, and he's not going to change, and it's going to continue being a problem, baby girl, go ahead and make a move. And let me admonish women who are done with the relationship mentally, but you're still in it physically, literally. You're still in the relationship when you should have dipped. You heard me? You ain't giving him any smoochy, and he want a big bag of coochie, and you're withholding it. Yeah, that ain't right. Go ahead and get out the relationship. Stop prolonging the pain and torturing that man. It ain't right. That is you and your own fear and insecurity. Get out the relationship and quit causing both of you headache and heartache. Number 6, when he fails as a guardian. Now, what I mean by that is more than one thing. The man is your protector. The man is also the one who is the guardian of your heart, of your goodness, of your body, not only the safety of it, but your reputation and much more. At the point in which your husband or boyfriend becomes so loose in his responsibilities and or morality that he would allow you to be around or lay with another man, it's all bad. Okay, it's all bad, love. Get out of there. Things are on their way down. Number 7, he becomes morally corrupt. We're not talking about cheating. We are talking about addiction, whether it's alcoholism or hard substances. He's a degenerate gambler. He is engaging in things that are very detrimental and they're clear wrongs. And they may spread a poison to you and or your children. It is time for you to get out of there. He is morally corrupt. And ladies, let me remind you, and you guys often do this, that it is not your job to seek out hypocrisies in his ways. And may I warn everyone that it is many leaders have to be aware that your followers will search for hypocrisy in your ways. They will search for it. Human beings are not noble. They will seek hypocrisy in your ways. So that being the case, ladies, if your man has said something and didn't keep his word on it, it was a small thing. If your man maybe told you he was going to do something and didn't do it, and you add these things up and it's not something that's very detrimental, it's not a big deal, let you not be the one who wants to keep reminding him of that or hounding him about that. Be thankful, for it is a cold world we live in. And so, ladies, let me advise you, when you're in the relationship, if you ain't ready to end it, view your man as a moral authority and treat him with the appropriate respect. Okay? Once you find him not to be a moral authority because he's morally bankrupt or he's corrupt morally, yeah, get out of there. And let me tell you something about men. We fairly basic. You heard me? Yeah, like you ask your man dumb questions, some super thick girl walk by half clothed, he might not even morally condone that. But you ask him a dumb question like, were you looking at her? In his head, he's like, for sure I was looking at her. Yeah, for sure. But I don't want her. I don't want to be with her. You heard me? She doesn't mean anything, but yeah, I was looking at her. Yeah, I was, for sure. Me and the other 30 people in this environment, the women included, were looking at her. She's turbo thick. Yes, indeed. I wish she'd put some clothes on, frankly. But yes, I was looking at her. If you're concerned with things like that and you're looking for the man who's not going to look at that woman, you, might not never find that man. Or if you do find that man wasn't looking at her because he don't like women. Or maybe you find that man and he wasn't looking at her because he has a very low libido. And he has a low libido because he's in poor health. A man who is in good health, yes, everything's firing on all the engines is firing. Them systems is working good. So what I'm telling you, ladies, is be careful what you wish for and understand that a man is a man. Be realistic. Don't you trade in a perfectly good man and go out there into the wilderness seeking a civilized man. It's a wilderness out there. You got something that's pretty good. Don't expect more than is realistic. Women, they tend to engage in fantasy. They want the guy who's tall and has a six-pack and has a six-figure income and has 6 inches or more. And, it's like all these damn ands. It's like, God, you want it all. But you got a lazy eye. And yeah, you think, but you also have a thick stomach. And you're also broke. So I'm just encouraging you all to be realistic. Nicaragua Saint writes, what do you think about women who holler at you? It happens to me all the time. Honestly, I get suspicious. I'm not going to say I don't like it. I appreciate the compliment, but usually those are never the women that I stay with. When the woman approaches me or hollers at me, those are usually the women that are doing it and they're driven and motivated by lust, by sexual desire. And sex is not an evil or a bad thing. You want your woman to be attracted to you, but you don't want to end up with a woman who is promiscuous. You see, I've seen other women who want me, but they know how to be low key and kind of put themselves in your way. You dig what I'm saying? They'll find a way to put themselves out there, but they're not going to be aggressive with it. You dig? And they still going to play that little bit of game of, hide and seek, which is the cat and mouse that you come to expect between the male and female. You already know you got it in the bag, but she's going to try to make you chase a little bit, and that's a part of the courtship process. Number 8. This guy falls in love with another woman, and then you begin to receive insufficiency. You're getting insufficient amounts of affection, insufficient amounts of love, insufficient amounts of time. He's fallen in love with another woman. You see, now that's different. Some men might lay down with another woman. Oh, but he gonna get back up. Deuces, I'm going back to my wife. Why? Because I actually love her. Hey, please stop calling me. It's not your turn. But if he mess around and he's falling in love and catching feelings, I really don't respect that. That is not manly. If you have a woman who's your main woman and she has honored you, shown you respect, been loyal, and she has done everything in her role, and you go out in this world falling in love, bro, you ain't right. You ain't loyal. You ain't no good. See, a woman's loyalty and a male's loyalty is measured up differently. My woman, I'm the owner of her. She is property. Yeah, and I don't like people putting their hands on my property. No. Some people rent out their cars on Turo. I heard Bam Kevo talk about he rents out his cars on Turo to pay for the car. Nah, I don't want people in my car. I'd rather just pay the car note. I'm good. I pay the car note. When I leave my house for months on end, or I leave my apartments empty, they just empty. I ain't Airbnb-ing out nothing. I don't want nobody in my bed. I don't want anybody putting their feet in my slippers. No. I don't. No. My property is my property. That's including all of my assets and my women. Those are my property. None shall touch them. I don't even like people to look hard. You dig? That's just me, though. So if this woman has honored you and maintained herself only for you, and then the male is so weak-minded and weak-hearted that he goes out and falls in love, get rid of that boy. Yeah, he ain't going to last the whole mile. Nope. Me, if I have a main woman who's honoring me, I'm a die with her. We're going to die together. Now, realistically, I'll probably die before her, right? Probably of unnatural causes. There's a lot of demons out here, you dig? They might take your boy out, and I ain't tripping. I mess around and die of unnatural causes. But in the absence of that, we gonna die together. If she's been trailed, yeah, and she's the kind of woman that I like supporting me, we gonna die together. As long as she can follow my program, we are dying together. And I will never jump ship and abandon her and leave her alone, uncared for, because of any floozy. You dig? Yeah, no, I'm not going to poke and fall in love from a poke. No. See, that's why the women get anxious about you guys having other women, because you're weak-hearted. You're weak-minded. I fell in love with a stripper. She riding, she rolling. She on that pole. No. That's why they can't trust y'all. See, the difference is I've dealt with beautiful women my whole life. They don't have no effect on me. No, they don't have no effect. Wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. I got to scram. Stay back. Stay over there. Yeah. Now, if I was to find a woman who is worthy of coming into my family, different than falling in love. A woman who is worthy of coming into my family, then I'm going to have a conversation with my main woman and see if we can grow the family. You dig? But I ain't going to fall in love, and I'm not going to abandon a winning horse. You dig? If she's a thoroughbred and she won in a race, she got to stay in first place. It's a sucker who would fall in love and break a marriage or break a relationship because he, like a sucker, fell in love. In fact, there's a young lady whom I know, and her father this is actually a European girl. Her father cheated on her mother with some woman physically, and then fell in love, and then broke the marriage and the family and started a whole new family. Just left his 2 kids and his wife, dipped on them, and started a whole new family. That's weak. That is what destroys society. And now this young lady does not have a proper understanding of love. Does not understand love properly, does not understand mothering properly, does not understand fathering properly, does not understand authority properly, does not understand, hey, we gonna live and die together, because her father messed that up. And her father broke something in her, broke something in her brother, and broke something in her mother, something that will never be fixed. That's a low man. I don't respect it. Yeah, you catch your man out here catching feelings, he's scummy. Get rid of him. Unless he's legitimately trying to build a family and bring the woman into the family and propagate his DNA, that's a different thing. Saints, I'll give you some time to share your comments, questions as we wind down. These lover boys out here, you dig? Shout out to Rienzi. It's been a while. Good to see you. Rienzi comes in via Cash App, writes peace of the Saints. Shout out to Vernell. He writes tuition. Appreciate you. And shout out to the new folks coming in. Might have been his first time. So I'm going to review these for the ladies. I know we had a little bit of extra talk. But ladies, if there is violence in the relationship, if there is a situation where you find that he's making you his everything at the expense of critical things, get out of there. If you are certain that you can do better and you are grounded in reality in this idea, go do better. If you are interested in another man, get out of there, but also check yourself before you wreck yourself. You dig? Might be something wrong with you. Something that ain't right in you. Next one. When he becomes your inferior, you find that you can't look up to him, you can't admire him, you don't find him to be a source of strength and all the things you would seek in a man. Also, if you're having the same recurrent disagreement and there's escalating tension, get out of there. When he fails as your guardian, get out of there. If he's morally corrupt, addicted, degenerate in certain ways, get out of there. And if he falls in love with another woman on some petty-ish, get out of there, which is to say he fell in love without a plan. Get out of there. Mr. Belmont says that he's been watching for a month now, just received his copy of The Black Box. Shout out to you, and I appreciate you sharing that. Do tell us, how did you find the content? I'd be curious. And for those of you who haven't read The Black Box, you'll find that it is a book of great guidance and inspiration written for our time. And it is a book that will make you reflect on yourself and where you're at, and it'll inspire you to do better. It'll really remind you of your own greatness. May I acknowledge Hector, who comes in by Cash App, writes, looking forward to the Saints trip. Oh, and it will be, I'm telling you, it'll be a memory. It will be a memory. And I'm trying not to smile thinking about it, but it's like you got this thick girl that about to pull up. You've been waiting to take her out for a while, or shall I say take her down like a hitman, and she about to come through. You over here doing stretches. You like, I'm about to tear this up. You hear me? You didn't got the condoms all placed in the right spot. You didn't got condoms stashed everywhere. Got a condom under here, wherever she needs this to go down at. That's the kind of excitement I have for this, because I know it's going to be such a great time. And, one of the foundational things about enjoying life is, who are you living life with, right? It's the people that are around you that account for so much of your quality of life, your mental health. And I know that we're going to be deep, which is always a great feeling. It's a feeling of safety and security and domination. But we're going to be deep around good men, around strong men, around honorable men. And we're going to be doing player stuff. You heard me, getting suited up, fresh suits from scratch, one of ones. Nobody going to have the suits you have. No one is going to have the experiences you're going to have. So it's going to be a good time seeing beautiful new sights. It'll be special. It will be special. May I acknowledge Tony? He writes, what's your process of testing a woman to be your main woman, putting her to work? You heard me, putting her to work. I always think about, what is our downtime experience like? So there's a couple requirements. One, I don't want her to have too strong of a sex drive. I just personally don't love it. I want her to have a sex drive for me. And, I want her to always, when I need that in my life, yeah, get that to me. But, I don't need her out of control. And also, how do we experience our downtime? When we're not out at a show, when we're not going here or going there, what's that like? Does she know how to be at peace? And also, can she work for me? Can she get my tasks done? Is she supporting me in earning more money? Is she getting tripped up on small things? See, I can't deal with a chick getting tripped up on small things like, oh, like this girl's DMing you. That girl was staring at you. Baby, they gonna stare. You hear me? They don't get to see nothing like this. They see this once a year, if that. Some of them ain't never seen it in their life. They gonna stare, and they need to. You can't blame Shorty for that. She ain't never seen nothing like this. She get tripped up on small things. I don't love it. You hear me? I like a chick that, she know how to be with a boss and player position, and she realizes the kind of man that you are. She wants you in the finest. She wants you in the finest clothes, the finest situations, the best restaurants. She wants to, keep on increasing you. And when she see them broads staring, she's proud because she like, that's my man. I'm with him. That's my man. Yeah, baby, stare. You heard me? She know what it is. She like, yeah, I like to see him staring. She just let me know I got the one. And then at the same time that she appreciates the women staring at you, she don't like to be stared at. You dig? She like to stay key. Those are the litmus tests for me. He writes also, what attributes do you look for to make her main one? There you go. There you go. Thank you for that question. It's an important one. Mr. Belmont writes, my older brother recommended your content. That's love right there. And that's what an older brother should do. Put you on good information and keep you morally guided. That is a good brother. He is a good keeper of you. Yes, indeed. That's love right there. That's how you give love. So often we pass the wrong things to people. We pass the shots. We pass the blunt. We pass off untrue things. He passed you good information. That's love. Saints, it has been a pleasure to have this time to fellowship with you. Let us end this with our tradition, the Creed of the Assassin. Repeat after me with full conviction, knowing this is true of you. The Creed of the Assassin. I am going to be who I truly am because I am remarkable, and I am going to strive every moment to show the greatest part of who I am. Oh, by the way, check me out on Instagram if you haven't. Marquette Devon. I might mess around and go live on IG, you dig? I'm kind of feeling like I'm on my day off.